Hi, I'm Jessica Bolton, and this is the Daily Mirror's Jess Saying Live. Thank you for joining us this morning. As you can see, I've got the sparkles on, which can mean only one thing. We are talking dancing on ice this morning, and I am joined by our special guest. It's Ria Hebden. Hi, Ria.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on, because I know it's a busy week for you as well.
Yes, indeed.
It's lovely to have you. Now, we all know you as sort of Lorraine's entertainment correspondent, and we see you normally every Friday on there. You've been doing that this morning. I think you're in the studio now, aren't you?
Literally, I'm in my dressing room.
Love it, love it. And but of course, you've got a busy day ahead because you're in the skate off this Sunday on Dancing on Ice.
I
Oh,
am indeed. Yes, I know. It's bizarre, really, to think about it, because this isn't how I wanted the journey to start, but it is what it is. And we're in the skate off, Lukash and I, and we absolutely loved performing last week. It was such an incredible experience. We worked really hard on that routine, and I enjoyed every single second of it. I mean, I'm still pinching myself that I did a cartwheel on ice on live TV and didn't kill myself.
I know. I mean, it's fantastic. First of all, getting the call to do Dancing on Ice. What was that like, and what went through your mind? Because it is one of the most dangerous of these type shows that you could possibly do.
It is. I mean, I like to push myself to try new things, and I'm very physical. Like, I'm really into my yoga. I'm very passionate about showing people that girls and women can do anything. So for me, I was really excited to be asked to do the show. And I also like the idea of learning a new skill. I've never skated before. I've never had proper lessons. I was taken as a child to the Bradford ice rink by my grandparents, literally a handful of times. And as an adult, I took my son when he was about 6. And to be honest with you, I did more drinking of mulled wine at the Natural History Museum than I did the ice skating. But no, I like to push myself forward to try new things, and this show absolutely gives me the opportunity to do that.
And it's a great one as well. As we can see there, it's that you get to dress up, it's the sparkle and the glamour. It's all a good bit of fun, isn't it, as well?
Absolutely. I mean, I talk about Dancing on Ice as part of my entertainment roundup on Lorraine every Friday. And I absolutely love this show. I think it's really joyful, really colourful, really entertaining. And we watch it at home as a family with the kids on the sofa. So to be asked to be part of one of ITV's most sparkliest shows was, wonderful. Absolutely.
Bring on the sequins. So, and last week we saw you did a fantastic routine, and it was to Harry Styles's Treat People with Kindness. And obviously you were there with your partner Lukash, who we've seen. Now, it's how did it feel when you first go out onto the ice? That moment where you're like, because you've been training for a few months now, working really hard at this. That moment where you hear your name announced, and right, okay, break a leg or don't break a leg at this stage.
Literally. It's a funny experience, actually, because obviously with me being experienced in live television, I know how to channel the nerves and the adrenaline. I know those familiar feelings. So I feel very supported in that live environment. And what was really nice about being part of this series is we were able to have an audience. So you could feel the love of the people in the rink, which was really good. But it's still scary because obviously you've got the pressure of being a non-professional dancer. So it's like, how well will I be able to remember the routine under pressure? And how well will I be able to execute the poses and the moves and stuff? So I definitely felt the nerves, but Lukash is a fantastic partner. He's been skating all his life since he was 4. And he dances in shows that him and his wife Alex produce all over the world. So he knows how to prepare his partners for the adrenaline before the live show. So he and I practiced the routine backstage just before we went on. So we were really warm and warmed up and kind of, we're just going to do that again now. And that really helped.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, you've already done it once. You kind of feel like you're in the zone as you're about to go on TV.
Yeah.
Were you a little bit concerned about injuries, or have you had any since you started the training?
Oh, I've got a fair few bruises, I can tell you that. Now I understand why they spray tan. It's to cover up the bruises. This is really scary, and it is really dangerous because you're pushing your body into, and you're twisting your body into positions that you just never put your body into, right? So that is scary in itself. And then once you are doing that on ice and moving at speed and sometimes backwards, it can be really, really scary. But with me, I've got a very positive mindset. So I've gone into this not preempting the hurt, the falls and the bumps and stuff. I'm really focused on perfecting the technique, because if you get that and you lean into the fear of things, that's when the skating, that's when the skating really happens, and you're less likely to hurt yourself. Interestingly, if you stand up, you actually make it more dangerous for yourself on the ice. So I'm constantly been told to bend down and stay low. That's literally all I hear all day from Lukash is stay low, bend down, stay low. In my head, I'm like, that's what's going to keep you safe.
Stay low. At least if you stay low, it will hurt less when you fall to the floor. That's all my thinking. I mean, I do think it would terrify me, that show. Me and Ice is not very good. I've been to that one at the Natural History Museum as well. And the last time I was there, I stopped in the middle of the ice rink, and I was like, well, how do you get started again? I can't hold on to anybody or anything. The stewards had to help me to the side. So that was the last ice skating I've ever done, Ria. So I think you did amazing out there. When did you actually start the training?
About 10 weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah, and we trained with a coach to teach us the fundamentals for 3 weeks, and then we were, partnered with our partners for the show, and then they start teaching us other stuff and how to partner and skate together and things like that. So not very long. I mean, I look back at that footage and think, I can't believe that was me, actually, considering.
Yeah.
I'm really proud. I mean, to come third out of the judges' scores, I think, is a really brilliant achievement. And also to be top of the scores in terms of the non-professional dancers in the show. That's something that I'm really, really proud of, and so I'm just going to cling to that because that's important.
That's what I was going to say. You got great scores from the judges. Obviously Otis joined the judging panel this year. She loved you. Ashley, you got your best score from Jane Torval of a 6.5, which is great. Great for week one. That's brilliant. And you got 6s from the others, including Christopher Dean. They all had fantastic comments. It was your beaming smile and energy, but also they all said your technique was great. Little tips about maybe just straightening, going in and out of the lifts. I think it was, wasn't it? Straightening a little bit on your lines.
Yes,
you're going to get technical. But it was really great feedback. Were you surprised then that you ended up in the skate off?
Yes, I was. I was really, really gutted to find us in the skate off so early on in the journey, just because we really had put everything into that performance. And, from our point of view, it had gone really well. So it was a shock. But to be honest with you, it's just motivated me to keep going, keep applying myself 110% in the training. And most importantly, just squeezing the pips out of the experience, because it's such a privilege to be part of such an amazing show, to be trained by world-leading skaters and get critiqued by Torval and Dean.
I know, that's great.
It's bonkers. This is something I'm going to be telling my grandkids about in years to come. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You say, look at the Bolero, look at those two there. They saw me skating and they critiqued me and said I was good. I mean, that's amazing. You can take that. Yeah, you can tell your whole family that. That's something to dine out on for years, isn't it? I mean, obviously the big sort of elephant in the room, of course, is that Bez. I mean, Bez. It was a funny performance out there with his crash helmet on, which frankly I think is possibly wise. But unfortunately, he didn't get in the skate off how did you feel about that? Was that a little bit sort of, he made a big song and dance about the fact that he wasn't very good and he was protected all over, and his partner did do a little bit more of the work, one would say. But I mean, how does that feel? Because it is an entertainment show and people are going to vote for him because, he's making them laugh. But is it a little bit gutting, a little bit?
I mean, it is what it is. Like you said, it's an entertainment show, and that's showbiz for you, right? I mean, what was really touching, if I'm honest, is Bez came over to me after the show and he just said, he feels really bad. He felt like he should have been in the skate off, and he thought I looked absolutely stunning and skated beautifully. And those comments were really sincere, and I think that's really kind for him to say that. And so, I don't take any of this personally, because I know that we all tried our best and all did a brilliant job, and we are all in this unique experience together where we're pushing ourselves into doing really scary, risky things and pushing through that fear, and also trying to put on a show to make people smile on a Sunday evening. So yeah, I think you have to kind of surrender to the outcome of what it will be and just focus on the things you can control. And for me, it's like how much I put into my training, how well I eat, how much water I drink, how well I sleep, and how much fun I have, right? That's all that matters.
That's all that matters at the end of the day. And I mean, I'm sure you're going to do amazing in the skate off. What have you been training for this all week? And have you got what's your routine? Is there anything you can tell us about it?
Well, Lukash and I have been training really hard. We're skating to a really great song by Taylor Swift. So I'm hoping that everyone will really get behind us on that.
Yeah.
There's a fair few lifts in there, so wish me luck. But I feel very safe in Lukash's hands. He's one of the stronger male skaters in the show. He's brilliant at lifts. And him and Alex, they are fantastic partners. And he says that I weigh quite similar weight to Alex, which is good because then it will feel familiar. I'm sure I'm as bendy as Alex, but to get these lines and to think of those finishing touches, which obviously comes from the ballet training. So just really focusing on what Jane said about those entries and exits in and out of the lifts. So just get those right.
Well, that's sort of something that comes with time. I mean, their critique is those are little things that, when you've been doing this for years, you get all of those little things right. So the fact that they're just picking on those sort of things is great, because I mean, like you said, you did a cartwheel, you did a lift, you did that backwards thing, which I don't know what the actual term is, but it looked really terrifying.
Crossovers into the flyaway. I know. I still can't believe that was me.
What does it feel like when you're lifted up on the ice and you're looking down, seeing the ice as he's lifting you around?
Yeah, the key thing is actually not to look at the ice. Interestingly, because you're spinning so quickly, they tell you not to spot things and not to look for a certain spot to count the rotations, because it just throws you off. You just have to see the lights swirling all around. But as a child, I absolutely loved roller coasters, fair rides. I jumped out of a plane in New Zealand when I was in my 20s. So I do like the feeling of flying, and I like the rush of that. So I don't fear the lifts. I really enjoy them.
Oh, well, that brings me to the question of, are you going to be doing the headbanger? And have you already practiced any of those sort of those sort of really terrifying moves that we normally see later in the series?
I've said no to the headbanger just because I like my teeth in my mouth and I'd like them to stay there. But I'm up for all the other lifts. There's lots of other lifts that are very intricate and daring. And, for me, I'd be up for trying those. I don't like the idea of the headbanger. I just think, if that goes wrong, it could be really, You
don't do that. But obviously, as we know, you're a mum of two. You've got son Noah, who's 12, and Lula is she 4 or 5? Is she?
4.
4, yeah, because she's just started school, isn't she? So it's so. I mean, what do they think of mummy doing this? Are they sort of, as you say, you watched it as a family? They must be loving you on this.
Oh, they're so proud, Jess. It's lovely. I mean, after every skate, you know, the first thing he says, "Mummy, did you do well?" And I'm like, "I gave my best. I really enjoyed it today. You know, I'm feeling a bit stiff, but I'm going to keep at it tomorrow." And when they came to see me with my husband Mark at the show last Sunday, little Lula was like, "Mummy, you look amazing, but a little bit different." And I was like, "Yeah, 'cause I've got a wig on." You know, when I first came, you know, backstage to see the children, and we were travelling home after finding out about the skate off, I was a bit worried that they'd be really upset, and I was so proud and encouraged by them, because the first thing my son said is, "Mummy, you're going to smash it in the skate off." And I thought, that's my boy. Yeah, because, you know, in all of this, you have to remember that so many young people are watching this, and I want my journey to inspire people to go for things that are a little bit scary, and to try things that you don't have any experience in, and to allow yourself to be vulnerable in learning something new, because you can really enjoy it, but also learn so much about yourself and a new skill. So I'm really mindful about showing my kids that like, if you always try your best and you really enjoy the experience, the outcome doesn't really matter. It's about the lessons that you learn along the way.
Exactly. And, you know, if the worst happens this weekend, you'll have learnt this skill, and you know, you have had this experience, and I'm sure you'll stay close friends with Lukash.
We'll be friends for life, me and Lukash, absolutely. He's such a special person. I think when you train with somebody like that so intensely, you have to build that trust in order for them to be able to lift you and you know, at speed. And I think, you know, that's such a unique bond that you just won't ever have with anyone else in your life. So it's really nice to hear from Lukash that he's still friends with Miley in class. He's still friends with Trisha Goddard. All the people that he's worked with before, he still talks to today. And I completely get that, because it's such a unique experience.
Because you are literally putting your life in his hands.
Think of it like that, Jess.
Well, a little bit. If he drops you on your head, then, you know, I don't want to scare you, but it wouldn't be good.
You know, he told me the other day that when him and Alex were training for one of their pro numbers, that he dropped her, and I said, "You dropped your own wife?" I made sure I landed in front of her to cushion the fall, and I was just like, "Oh God, don't do that with me."
Wow, that's very chivalrous. I mean, so Brian Baker here is saying the result was a joke. Bez couldn't even skate. I mean, it was nice of Bez to say what he did, and yes, it was a controversial decision. I mean, I say so. It's nice the public obviously see that too. Have you had any advice from Trisha or Mylene?
Trisha, I have actually. I spoke to her a couple of weeks ago. She said just to have fun, because it's such a unique experience. And what I love about Trisha is she's actually still skating today. She's having lessons every week. And I love that, because I do think, you know, it's such a privilege to be taught how to skate by a skating pro, and to just, you know, give up and stop perfecting that would be such a waste. So I definitely am going to keep skating, you know, after the show, and I'm going to take my kids for lessons, because I do think, especially Lula, it's a good age for them to start, and she's super bendy, so that always helps too.
It always helps. And you see the little kids, they can like whiz round because they got no fear whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Jess, with the training, it's like you have to psychologically tap into your inner child and not fear, oh, if I do this, I could slip and hurt myself. Actually just be like, right, what would 8-year-old Ria do? She would just be straight into that, because it's fun. So I'm just trying to be more of my younger 8-year-old self. And
find your inner 8-year-old. I love that. I love that. That means that backstage you can eat Haribo as well in between. Like, you just keep it going.
Do you know, Haribo is my secret weapon, actually. That's what I have. Yeah. It just helps the sugar rush, definitely.
Like, before you go on stage, do you just have a few Tang fast sticks and get the sugar going?
I do. Yeah, that's our little secret weapon.
I love it. So basically, for anyone that hasn't watched the show, like half of you performed last week, half of you performed this week.
Mm-hmm.
So are you looking at those that are going to be performing this week to see who you might be up against in the skate off? You've got Reagan Gascoigne, Liberty Poole from Love Island, Ben Foden, the rugby player, Rachel Stevens, who again, I mean, she's got dance experience in the past, Steph Reed, and Connor Ball from the Vamps. So have you been sussing them all out? And
do you know what? I haven't. I've been so focused on what Lukash and I are doing. I actually haven't watched what anybody else is doing. I think that's actually a really good strategy as well, to be fair. I think, you know, as much as the show needs people with different abilities in order for it to be a really good show, the ice feels completely different every day. And I don't think people tell you that. Which is why before we skate, we skate around the ice before we do our performance, so we can bed into the feeling of the ice. And so it's very much how you do with your partner in that 1 minute 20 on the ice, not so much, you know, oh, they look like they're doing really well, I need to be better than them. It's not that. It really is about how well you execute your routine with your partner in that minute. And so that's what I just focus on, is being really connected to Lukash, so we're in sync with each other, and that we just enjoy and feel the song and you know, just enjoy it.
I know Lorraine has said, obviously lovely Lorraine that you see every Friday, Anna. I know she said that that there were people with professional dance experience, and obviously Brendan Cole. I mean, you can't get more professional dance experience than that. And like you said, you were top of the people with no dance experience, or no professional dance experience. Sorry. Do you think it's fair that there's people that have that kind of skill? Because it does give you a sort of leg up in a way, especially with that sort of like what you were critiqued about with the entry in and out of the lifts, entry and exits in and out of the lifts. It's that kind of the movement and everything like that. It is something that transfers across to skating.
Yeah, I think having the, you know, the fundamentals, the training of like the ballet fundamentals does give you an advantage, because it is essentially ballet on ice, right? So if you know how to hold your core and extend, and you focus on the lines and the finishing touches, then you know, that's going to put you in good stead. But in fairness to everybody, you know, nobody could skate before this, so we're all on a level playing field in terms of learning the sport of ice skating. It's just how well you're able to remember your routine and transfer all of that onto the ice under the pressure of doing it on live TV. I mean, I've got the advantage where I'm used to being in a live studio environment, but obviously the disadvantage is I haven't had any professional dance training, so I'm having to really channel my inner Misty Copeland and think like a ballerina in everything that I do. You know, it is a shame that because of COVID, we're not able to get some of the extra help and support from the other professional skaters, because in previous series, other female skaters could show you how to get in and out of the lifts. We're all training in these COVID-safe bubbles. We're all in separate ice rinks. So Lukash can only tell me so much of how to get in and out of the lift, but he's a lifter. So he doesn't know, you know, the key points when I need to engage my core or pull on his neck or extend my neck. Yeah, we're having to film ourselves with our phones and watch it back. And I'm describing how things feel, and he's saying, right, at this point, this is when you bend your leg, this is when you engage your core, this is when you pull my neck, and it's trial and error, really.
Yeah.
We're doing our best and we're enjoying the ride.
That makes so much sense. You don't really realise how different that would be, and how much it's difficult for him to tell you what to do when you're dancing a different kind of role to what he will have always been doing. Because there's a big difference between having to lift and being lifted. In terms of how you do it, they're both very, very hard. So now obviously Rachel Stevens is out this weekend because of her fractured wrist. So who out of that list are you hoping not to be up against in the face off?
Well, I don't know, because I haven't seen how everyone's been getting on with their training, and like I said, you know, everybody, it's there are so many different factors that are going to influence the outcome, right? So it's how well they remember their routine under the pressure, how the ice is on that day, how well they're in sync with their partner, and how well they immerse themselves into the character that they're playing. So it's going to be whatever it's going to be. That's why I'm not even kind of comparing myself to anyone else. I'm just focused on giving the best performance that I can with Lukash, immersing ourselves in the routine in that 1 minute 20, and just squeezing the pips out of the moment and just enjoying it.
I love it. You're so positive. I'd be like, well, I might slip them something in their coffee. No, I wouldn't really. I wouldn't really. That's just a joke. In terms of like the outfits are one of the things I love most about the show. I mean, it's so lovely, all the glitter and the glamour and stuff like that. Do you know what your outfit's like for this weekend? And when do you get them to start practicing in?
Yes, we only actually get the outfits the day before. So on Saturday we do a run through in our outfits so that they can make any tweaks and changes and stuff. I absolutely loved my dress last week. It was the dress of dreams, which was designed by Vicky Gill. You know, it had 1,000 rhinestones on it. So if you love your sparkle, I thrilled when I tried that one on. I've been told that I'll be wearing the one which I wore in the promo for the show, so when the show starts, and I'm really excited to be wearing that one because it was so beautiful. It's like a pinky gold, so yeah, I can't wait to wear it.
Can't wait to wear it. And obviously you don't get to keep them, I imagine.
Well, I'm hoping they'll give me that amazing yellow one, because when I saw it for the first time, I squealed like a child. I said to Vicky, when I die, I want to be buried in this dress. Like, it's amazing. And she's like, that's a bit morbid, but we'll see what we can do.
Maybe you can have it, and then you can put it on when you take your kids down like the local ice rink, and then I just be like. Yeah, for the score, that'd be awesome. I think that's exactly what you want. Do you get to have any say in the design? I know some people before have been like, oh, I want it a bit shorter, I can't have it that short, it has to be like this. How does the process work?
Initially they just ask you, you know, is there any body parts that you're not particularly fond of? Because then when they're designing them, they can, you know, complement those areas rather than expose them. But you don't really get any say in the colours or the, you know, the textures or anything. You just see it the day before and try it on, and, you know, if there's any nips and tucks that need to be made, they do them then. With last week's dress, you know, I had all the lovely tassels. It was very Josephine Baker, very Gatsby style.
Yeah.
Obviously doing the run through with that on was an experience, because suddenly I had all this material in between my legs that I wasn't used to. And it was like having a tail, so we had to cut loads of that off because it was very heavy, which obviously added weight to it for the cartwheel and for the lifts, and it just kind of limited my movement a bit, so they shaved a lot of that off.
So it's like, right, we're going to have to take the scissors to this dress now. You don't want to get tangled in it as well. I can imagine it could be quite dangerous. It's like... Well,
yeah, in the run through, I actually caught my boot, my ice boot, it's ice skates, in my fishnets.
Oh my gosh,
yeah. So on the last lift where Lukash spins me around, I caught my foot in my fishnet. And I remember holding the post thinking, oh my God, I'm actually properly stuck. Like, how do I get out of this? And I just thought you're going to have to like fling your leg out when you land and just hope that your leg separates. And thankfully it did, but the boot did scratch my shin, but I've been putting loads of firewall on, hoping that it won't scar.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it makes me feel nervous just hearing about it. You're really brave to do this. You could have given yourself a nasty slash.
You realise then actually that anything can happen, and you just have to keep going. And that's what I did. But luckily, no scars, just a little bruise under the skin and lots of biowall. So hopefully it'll be all right.
I love that. I love that. Can you tell me if you did give them any body part things to cover up or not cover up? Because they're very skimpy outfits, Ria, and I'm impressed that you go out in them.
I just said I didn't want like my tummy out, just because from having 2 babies, you naturally have what I call a little kangaroo pouch that I'm proud of, because it's memories from having my babies. But I just think for all mums out there, who've had kiddies, that's something that they're always a bit conscious of. So I won't be exposing my tummy too much.
Well, I think that's, I think you look amazing out there. I mean, I'd be asking them one that could suck me right in. That's what I need before I could get anywhere near one of those outfits, honestly. Yeah, it's no, outside of dancing on ice, of course, you've got all your other things going on. Obviously, we know about Lorraine and that you do that, and we've seen you on This Morning, and you've done the all around Britain with the piece with Alex Beresford program, but I know you've also got your Wonder Woman TV, which is very important to you, isn't it? Because it's empowering other women in TV. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because you've got your podcast and you've also got the live events, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So Wonder Women is something I set up years ago to champion women who work in television and the creative industries. And it evolved initially as a live event, which we hold on International Women's Day every year to celebrate women who work in the industry. And it's basically a panel discussion where I interview 3 women who work in telly in different roles, and they share how they got to where they are in their careers in front of a live audience of 100 people. This year we're doing it again with an audience, but we're also live streaming it, which is brilliant because it makes it more accessible to people who don't live in London. And yeah, it just evolved. It's become such a positive, empowering thing. We've got the podcast where I interview lots of different leading women. I've interviewed Lorraine on that, Kay Mellor, Jo Malone, like some amazing female trailblazers. And last year I launched a mentoring program as well, which was just amazing. So we've got the graduation for that coming up next month, which will be just wonderful to meet all of these people in real life and hear how the program has helped benefit their careers. So yeah, I'm so proud of that.
It's a really fantastic positive thing to do as well, because you're already so busy, in your day job, as it were, and and skating, and then doing this is a great, positive thing to do. And I know it's very important to you, which is why I wouldn't talk about it, because I think I think since the whole sort of Me Too thing, it's just like women helping women, and is a really positive thing that I think is a message that a lot more people can sort of should take on board. Really, it's kind of sort of, there's no reason, we need to help each other to get that kind of equality that hasn't been there in various industries across the board. So yeah,
it's so important. And there's a really powerful thing that happens when women support women. Not only do we then believe in ourselves, but it feels good when you help others. And the whole reason I created Wonder Women was because when I was coming up in TV, there was such an absence of mentors and panel discussions and people sharing how they did it. So I felt really impassioned to create something that wasn't there for me, so that future generations didn't have to work so hard. And it's just so good to hear how much it benefits people's lives.
Yeah, no, and that is fantastic. And finally, I know that diversity has been a big issue for you as well, and you've been very passionately speaking about some of these issues before. Now, Ashley obviously did that amazing thing on BGT. Is it quite good seeing him on Dancing on Ice, and have you sort of spoken to him about that? Because I know you're both very passionate about the cause.
Ashley is a professional. He's him and Diversity are a brilliant dance troupe, and he knows what he's talking about when it comes to performance and characterization. So his role on Dancing on Ice is very much valid, and I love his comments and his feedback on our performance. And I'm just going to keep bringing it and putting all of myself into the role and to the character, and just really do my best to show everyone that we're having a brilliant time.
I think you will, and I'm really rooting for you on Sunday. There's so many people that have gone on to the final who have been in the skate off early on. So just think of that and smash it, because I'm sure you will. And thank you so much for joining us today. You've been so lovely, Ria. I can't wait to see you, and good luck. I'm not gonna say break a leg for Sunday. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you ever so much.